The Syrian regime lacks the money to feed its people, but not for propaganda. In the middle of the economic crisis, a magnificent museum opens for President Assad's deceased brother. Dictatorships like to produce the most absurd flowers. This is exemplified in Syria. After almost 10 years of civil war, millions of Syrians only survive thanks to international food aid. Long queues form in front of state bakeries and gas stations, and many sell their refrigerators because they can only shop from day to day anyway. But while the citizens are facing a long cold winter without enough electricity and heating oil, the regime recently opened a magnificent museum for Basil al-Assad, the older brother of President Bashar al-Assad, in the coastal city of Latakia. Museum of the Martyr and Golden Rider Basil al-Assad is written on an ornate plaque in front of the entrance, decorated with a fiery horse image, as can be seen on official photos. Under blue glass dome there's an oversized marble sculpture of the deceased presidential brother, which is somehow reminiscent of a Buddha statue. Around the museum, Basil's trophies, riding boots, saddles and his riding dress can be seen on 350 square meters. In contrast to his lanky and rather shy brother Bashar, Basil was a determined athlete. The president's son, born in 1962, loved fast cars and equestrian sport. In the army he completed his training as a paratrooper and was then a commander in the presidential guard of his father Hafez al-Assad. He therefore recognized Basil as his ideal successor as the head of state. Fittingly, the museum is located in the Assad Sports Park in Latakia. The facility with football stadium, swimming pool and horse racing track was built for the 1987 Mediterranean Games. The museum is a message to the world that Syria remains a land of love and peace, said the local secretary of the ruling Ba'ath Party at the opening ceremony. The exhibition is also a valuable reminder for all Syrians of the glorious corrective movement, said the president of the National Sports Association. This is the name of the movement in the course of which Hafez al-Assad came to power 50 years ago. Contrary to the official propaganda, Basil al-Assad was not a martyr. He did not die for his fatherland, but had a fatal accident when he drove into a barrier in his Mercedes at excessive speed on a foggy morning on January 21, 1994, on the way to Damascus airport. His American English teacher once asked Basil if he really needed his many luxury sports cars. He replied, "These are not my cars, they belong to the people." Basil was not a fair sportsman either. A year before his death, he had his friend Adnan Kassar arrested. Kassar was officially accused of plotting a murder against the president's son. Critics of the Assad regime assume, however, that Basil was jealous of Kassar because he trumped him in equestrian competitions. Kassar spent 21 years behind bars until he was pardoned by Bashar al-Assad in 2014. Of course, nothing can be found in the museum about the dark side of the Golden Rider. All the greater is the anger of the regime critics. The waste of millions on this useless project is a grotesque insult for the suffering Syrian population, wrote the Syrian Network for Human Rights. And the writer Maher Sharaf al-Din suggested in a sharp-tongued comment that the entrance to the museum should be covered with some dung from Kassar's horse. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel and have a look at my other channels. I'll see you in my next video. Viel Spaß!